Okay, hello, my name is Joshua Lee Fish, and today I will be answering the question, who am I as an artist? So, I'm going to start out with some quick cheap facts for you. I am a design major with a focus in animation, as well as a computer science minor. I live in Bethany, Missouri, with my loving family, Kim Fish, Lance Fish, and my brother Zachary Fish. Even though you haven't seen my work yet, you should totally follow me on all of the social media. I've got a website, joshuafish.com. It's not quite working yet, but in the meantime, you can follow me on Instagram at joshuafish1224, my live-action YouTube channel, Joshua Fish Indeed, or my animation channel, Milking Chicken. Now, apparently Milking Chicken is a little off-putting to some people, so I've decided to rebrand my channel into the never-before-announced 1224 Animation. So, if you guys want to help me change my URL from Milking Chicken to 1224 Animation, you should totally subscribe to me. I need 100 subscribers, and I can do that. I don't expect you to remember any of this, so if you look under your chair right now, there will be a business card with this information written down on it, along with a piece of candy.
Yeah!
If you don't have a business card, check the first ABC, because there's totally one there. Alright, inspiration. To quote 2007 Pixar movie Ratatouille, inspiration has many names. Mine is named movies and cartoons and YouTube and music and books and other random stuff I don't necessarily associate with, but it's definitely inspired me in my artistic journey. This is a crazy long list, so we're just going to go through a couple of them. Pixar. Pixar is the reason I'm here right now. I love Pixar. I am an animation computer science student, like I said, and the two founders of Pixar, one was an animation student and the other was a computer scientist. So that's why I'm here. I love Pixar. Cartoons, SpongeBob and the Amazing World of Gumball, two incredibly silly and goofy shows. The kind of humor I want to emulate in my own work. Regular Show and Adventure Time, again, two super silly shows, but they take that silliness and kind of mold it into something incredibly meaningful and real, and I think that's a great indication of what you can do with art. Books, the Bible, pretty dang good book if you haven't read it. Definitely inspired my life as well as my art. And The Waltons, surprisingly. The Waltons is a show from the 1970s about a family living in the 30s, and there's one episode in particular that has inspired me, and that is where John Boy, the main character, he's an author and he's tasked with writing a novel. He starts writing all this crazy stuff, and none of it works, and he learns that when he writes about what he knows, that's what really works for people. And that's really inspiring me to put a big, heaping handful of giant fish in my work, because I know that's what people will enjoy. Now, let's get down to the nitty-gritty, not just be brave and say,
Yes.
who am I as an artist? So I thought about this for a long time, and I was able to boil it down into 3 super awesome real talk fun facts. Number 1, I am not passionate about art. Number 2, I will never be a great artist. And number 3, I am a horrible human being who does not deserve to be here. So, yep, that's me in a nutshell. But this is also me in a nutshell. Not everything is always as it first appears to be. That being said, let's get into these facts. Number 1, I am not passionate about art. I'd always thought that I was passionate about art. As a kid, I liked to draw my Magna Doodle. There's the images of line and dot, which is a real thing that I did. I drew Stickman comics in 5th grade, which are, yeah, they stick people, like you'd expect. I like cartoons, I like Pixar. I thought art was a part of who I was. But after coming to Truman, I met people who are truly passionate about art. People say that art is relaxing to them, like Sid said, it's therapeutic, and art has never been that way for me. It's always been challenging and difficult, and even boring at times. Sometimes I found myself forced, like I felt forced to do art, and so I had to ask myself the question, why am I here, why am I doing this? And I realized I'm not passionate about art, but rather people. I love people, and that's why I do my art. I want to make art for people. That being said, I generally stray away from abstract work. This is some work that I've done just in my personal time for fun. I post it on Instagram sometimes, but the meaning is not clear behind these. The intent is not clear, so it's not work I generally like to show people because I want my work to be relatable. As opposed to these 2 posters I made, I include puns, I got simple graphics, the message is very clear, it's relatable. Yeah, I want my intent to be clear. So that being said, let's play a rousing game of guess my intent with 3 pieces of work that I've made throughout my Truman career. First up, we got Over the Shoulder. which is a Photoshop photography piece. You may have seen it hanging in the Student Union building. If you had to guess the intent of this work, keeping in mind I like to keep things surface level and understandable to all, what would you guess it would be? If you guessed to show someone sitting in a chair with eyeballs looking at him, you would be correct. There's no deeper meaning to this. It's just cool. I wanted to do it. You get it. Your gut gets it right when you look at it.
Yes.
Number 2, sleeping eggs. Another If you had to guess my intent behind this work, what would you guess? If you guessed to make an awkward image of my face on Easter eggs to make people chuckle, you'd be correct. There's no deeper meaning. It's exactly what your gut expects it to be when you look at it. Number 3. Reflect, photo number 1. Annie, there she is, in your age. This is a series I am currently working on. If you had to guess the intent of this piece, keeping in mind I like to keep things surface level, what would you guess? If you guessed represents your hidden face and ears and board environments and complex concept of identity, and how who we are is not just who we say we are, rather who we say we are, who we truly are, and how the world sees us, you'd be correct. Of art I do not like to do. This was an assignment for class. We had to give our work meaning. I do find this interesting, and I appreciate when other people do this kind of art, but it's not the kind of art that I want to do. I want my audience to not just be the people sitting in art galleries critiquing art. I want my audience to be the world. So I am not passionate about art, but instead people and communicating to them through art. Fact number 2, I will never be a great artist. One of my favorite movies of all time is Monsters University. It's a highly underrated movie. At the end of the movie, Mike realizes that he's not scary like he's always wanted to be. Sully tries to console him by saying, "You're the great Mike Wazowski. He'll think of something." And Mike responds with my favorite quote, "I think it's time I leave the greatness to other monsters. I'm okay just being okay." That is a quote that I've really taken to heart. It's allowed me to grow so much, not trying to feel like I have to be great, but just learning to be okay with being okay. I've had my Mike Wazowski moment in my ASF 1 class. We were tasked to do a drawing of a realistic pulley, and I was very afraid. I had come from drawing line and dot and stick man comics. I was not used to drawing realistic things. And so I spent the first 30 minutes measuring proportions, putting my thumb up there like artists do. I don't even know what it means. And I was super scared. And my professor, Professor Jones, he came up to me and said a quote I'll never forget. He said, "Josh, I want you to take a deep breath and draw." And so I did. I drew this. And no, it's not great, but it's okay, and I made it. And I'm incredibly proud of it. I did my best, and I'm okay with being okay. And that's definitely bled into my animation work. This is the first animation I've ever done in my life in 2011. As you can see, it's not good. You don't have to be animated. No, that's not good. That's really cringy to watch right now. But at the time, it was the first animation I'd ever done, and I was incredibly proud of it. I was okay with being okay. Fast forward a couple months, I made a milking chicken music video, because that's what all the people want to see. Again, I made this in Microsoft Paint and Windows Movie Maker, so it's not good. It's terrible. But it was the best I'd done up to that point. And again, I was okay with being okay. Fast forward several years, I made sticky notes in 2016. Same thing, not great. There's way better animations than that. But it was the best I could do, and I was okay with being okay. Same thing with Our Little Friends, Doggy and Caddy, Papercut, Watching Page Ride, Time Flight, Dane Day Duty Heal, The Story of Josh and Fish, and my 2 most recent animations, Once Upon a Time and You Are My Sunshine. With each animation, each one has gotten better than before, but none of them are great. They're all okay, and I will always be okay with being okay. I believe that's the secret to success, not trying to be great, but learning to be okay with being okay. And lastly, I am a horrible human being who does not deserve to be here. I'm not usually one to be self-deprecating. I feel like I'm usually a pretty positive guy, but this is just an objective fact. I've cheated, I've lied, I've killed a man with this thumb. That is a quote from Ratatouille. Do not fear, I have not murdered anyone. But I have done the other stuff, and I feel like I don't deserve to be here. That being said, I am incredibly thankful to be here. Unlike a lot of people I've talked to, Truman was actually my first choice in colleges. I love the community here. I love the academically focused environment. I met a lot of great people, professors and students here, and I feel like I don't deserve any of it. So, in conclusion, who am I as an artist? I am an artist who is not passionate about art, but rather people and delivering messages of entertaining positivity and encouragement to them through art. I'm an artist who will never be grateful, will always do my best and be okay with being okay. And I am an artist who is a horrible human being who does not deserve to be here and who is extremely thankful for every gracious opportunity he's been given. Thank you.